And I want to go back to, one of the biggest risks, any professional athlete take, which you would have taken in your teenage year, to commit to career in sports.
Yeah.
And a career in sports, in India, at any given time, now it's slightly better, but earlier probably 15 people in the whole country can make a living, playing for India.
Yeah.
Today, maybe a few hundred people. So that's an inordinate amount of risk very early in your career. How did you think about that at that time?
Yeah, that probably is the most riskiest decision I've ever made, and obviously I'm glad now, and like I said, I'm very grateful that I made that decision. But it was a very risky decision, and it was not a risk. It was a risky decision from the background that I came from. I came from a background where both my parents were. I wouldn't say we came from a middle class background, typical Indian background where both the parents worked. It's not like there was a big business waiting at the end of it for me. Both my mom was teaching at the architecture college. My dad worked in a private company. So typical, family, two parents working jobs. They would have retired at 58. And education was an important part of my family. I mean, in the sense, my parents were both postgraduates. Just typical sort of middle class family where a lot of people studied, and your studying was important. And then it did feel like, again, like I looked at it, quite interesting. I looked at it as a little bit like that worst case scenario kind of concept. I could have had the option of doing typically what a lot of kids in that age did, which was do engineering, and I probably had I didn't have the love for it, to be very honest. I didn't have the love for math or, engineering. But certainly I could study hard enough and was diligent enough to get enough marks to probably get in and, do that. And it was a risk, and I'm just, really fortunate and lucky that my parents were very supportive of that risk, and I think that at that age, you need parents and you need like your counselors or your principals in the school. When I was at St. Joseph's Boys High School, then I did commerce after that. And purely I did commerce because I knew that it would give me a little bit more time to play the game. And the worst case scenario for me was I gave myself time till I was in college and a little bit after that. And if that didn't happen, then I would have I sort of given myself a hard stop of maybe 24, 25 and said, then I'll try and go back and do an MBA or, something like that and just move on. Because I was quite clear in my mind that I didn't want to be just someone who just kept playing the game, and if it wasn't going too far, I was a little ambitious as well. So, luckily for me, at that critical age, around 23, 24, things worked out and I was able to make it. But it was a risk, and it was not an easy decision. It took a lot of thought at home. I can say, I can still feel the stress that was in and around the house because, it was a decision I was making. I was foregoing a career in academics for a period of time. And certainly, even if I had come back into academics after 23, 24, it would never have been the same. I could never have, it's not like, for example, my brother went to engineering college, went to IIM, and he did the more sort of traditional route that would probably, have been expected of me in some ways, not expected, but, what people in my family did, and so, just having that parent support and my parents saying, it's okay, something you love, go for it. It's okay, we'll see what happens. It was hard. And, I sometimes wonder, I had my chat with my parents. How did you you could have stopped me. And it was not like I was taking a stupid risk. There was some data, there was some information telling me that, hey, you are good at it. I could look around me and look at my peers and see that I didn't think of myself as exceptional, special, talented, but certainly in whatever the benchmarks or the markers that I was hitting, I was hitting at least at the top level. So that gave me some confidence to take that risk. But yeah, it's not an easy one. And again, it's incredible how the wheel changes, right? You face the same thing with your own children now, in some ways, in different ways,
right.
So.
And so on that, I want to ask a different question. But just first, I'm really glad, the risk worked out not only for you, but I think, millions of people in India are probably glad. Ultimately the things you've achieved on cricket field, among the all-time greats who ever played the game, right? So that's absolutely incredible.